What's up, everybody? BigSweetC here with you. Got a special little video for you today. Today, I want to give you my opinion on this current generation console war. We're talking PS4, we're talking Xbox One, we're talking Nintendo Switch. Now, before I get too far, I do want to mention that I'm probably not going to be talking that much about the Nintendo Switch. If we were going to go around from gamer to gamer to gamer, it's pretty obvious, as much as I love my Nintendo Switch, it is not as big of the market share as Xbox or PlayStation. So we will be focusing mostly on PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. Now, again, having said that, we're going to focus on the console as a whole, so to speak, as instead of a individual base by base PS4 Pro versus PS4 versus Xbox One versus Xbox One X type of thing. We're not going to get into that. This is going to be as a general overall experience. Then on top of that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get right into the numbers because I don't think necessarily the salesmanship, the amount of units sold per capita really tells the story. So, but we do want to be fair. You do have to bring up the fact that, well, it looks like Sony just left everybody in the dust. When we're talking United States, America sales only, PlayStation 4 has outsold Xbox by roughly 5 million units or so, roughly 32 point some million to about 27 point some million. So the PS4 in the American market has outsold the Xbox market. So right off the bat, Sony's got a big win there, considering Sony is a Japanese product and Microsoft is an American product. You would kind of think that it would be possibly a little closer, more so home field advantage would kind of go to the Xbox, and it didn't. So now if you want to add in like worldwide sales, and you want to talk about like the Japanese sales as well, that's when the decision gets less and less difficult, because the truth is Sony has obliterated Xbox in this generation console. They obliterated Nintendo as well. Nintendo actually finished better than the Xbox. About 23% of the market share goes to Xbox, whereas about 24%. So they're pretty close. Nintendo and Xbox roughly share about 50% of the market on their own. But therein lies the problem, because there's really only one other competitor, and Sony has 50% of the 100% pie. So about twice as good in terms of sales. We're looking at roughly 60 million more units sold for Sony than Xbox and Nintendo Switch. So the reason I don't want to get into the numbers too much is because, Japanese people just buy Japanese stuff, and American people are willing to buy anybody's stuff. It's just the truth. I mean, the most popular console in Japan is actually the Nintendo Switch. It's more popular than both PS4 and the Xbox One. So Japan just buys Japan stuff. Americans will buy anything that they're spoon-fed in on TV. That's why I don't generally look at the numbers as the end-all be-all. Now, if we go back to the original console version, we've got the PS4 versus the Xbox One. In terms of internal guts, they are almost identical. They both opted for the AMD processor for the first time in this generation. The slight difference being the Xbox One can actually overclock at about 1.75 gigahertz a second, whereas Sony is limited to about 1.6. The other big difference is the graphic power. Sony went with a 5500 megahertz GDDR5 RAM, whereas Xbox went with the more commonly standard 2333 megahertz DDR3 So you would think that the faster processor would be better. Really, we'll get to the nitty gritty of what it was supposed to do in a second, but the bigger graphics card in the PlayStation 4 over the Xbox One gives the advantage in look to the PS4, and on a skin eyeball level, even my brother admits to this. When we play games that I have on both PS4 and Xbox One, he has multiple times told me that he can't believe how good it looks on PlayStation 4 compared to what he's used to on Xbox One. Now, the video that's going on here in the background, Red Dead Online, I have on both systems, and I am going back and forth between PS4 and Xbox and PS4 and Xbox, but I'm not going to mark it. I'm going to let you guys see if you can tell the difference between each one, because having seen this and played this on a daily basis, I can easily tell the difference. I know exactly when I'm looking at an Xbox version and exactly when I'm looking at a PlayStation version, and that's you get higher contrast, you get deeper fields of view on the PlayStation than you do the Xbox. And so graphic wise on the initial console itself, the PS4, in my opinion, is better than the Xbox One. Now, I know the Xbox One X tried to rectify that, and they technically have the fastest processor on the market for any console right now, so my hat's off to them for making that. But the truth is, the better graphics on the Xbox One X hasn't done nearly anything to step up Microsoft's game in the market share aspect. Everybody has basically decided that, yeah, that's cool that the Xbox One X has come out and it's got better graphics, but I've already made my decision by now, so I'm going to stick with it because I like it, and nobody's really bothered to take shape and jump back into the Xbox world because of the Xbox One X and their better graphics. So again, that kind of becomes a wash that now it's better, but at the beginning it was not. So at least in my opinion anyway. And I hear a lot of experts kind of say the same thing. So not that I take experts, quote unquote experts opinions all that seriously. I don't. But my brother, I consider an expert, even though most people have never heard of him in his life. My brother and I have been playing video games forever, and so when he says it, and it kind of aligns with what I say, because he's pretty dead set on just making sure that everything I say, he wants to make sure he knows that there is an other opinion that's not mine. So so when we do agree, that usually cements in place that's a pretty good belief. Now, the other hardware aspect of it is the controller. I'm on record, and I still to this day say that I actually think the Xbox controller is better than the PlayStation controller. I like the feel of it. I like the design of it better. I like the layout of the buttons better. I will admit, I've had to replace my Xbox controller probably 3 or 4 times now, whereas I've only I think had to replace my PlayStation controller once that I can think of off the top of my head. And to be honest with you, I don't even know if I really needed to. I had a button that was kind of sticky, but I don't necessarily know if it was it necessary to go and get another controller because of it. Whereas my Xbox One controller, literally buttons started falling off, it would stop working, it wouldn't read batteries anymore, so it's kind of hard to play when it doesn't read the battery. It doesn't know that the battery is in there. So I've literally had to replace the Xbox controller at least 3 times that I can think of. And I'll put one under the Sony controller, but it's more of like a half, really. The look of them, I think they're both kind of similar. They're both kind of like that box shape. So the aesthetic of the actual console doesn't seem to make a big difference to me. And they're services. So you got Xbox Live, and then you got PlayStation Plus. I believe PlayStation Plus is $10 cheaper a year. I think it's only $50 a year, whereas Xbox is $60. That they might have changed that. It might be $60 now. And then they both have their streaming services. You have PlayStation Now, and then you have Xbox Game Pass. So on a level by level basis, most of the exclusive games that are on PlayStation Now, I already own, outside of Spider-Man. So when you look at it on a border to border basis, neither one of those streaming services is all that great. There are certain ones. Final Fantasy IX is available on Xbox Game Pass. I think that's great because that's a old school backwards compatible game that you can then go back and pick up. That I think is a great one that a lot of people don't talk about anymore. You can play Red Dead Online on Xbox Game Pass. I think that's a big plus in that category. But you also get a lot of exclusives on PlayStation Now. So you get Spider-Man on PlayStation Now. You get Bloodborne on PlayStation Now. They don't have God of War, the fourth one. They have the previous three, which are great, but they don't have the fourth one for whatever reason. In my opinion, if I was PlayStation, I'd be getting out all the exclusives on PlayStation Now as an incentive for them to sign up for it. But they, whatever reason, I mean, they get paid millions of dollars to do what they do, so they must be better at it than I am, I guess. I don't know. But you look at the Xbox lineup, and they don't really have a whole lot of exclusives on there either. They do have the Outer Worlds. The other benefit that I'll give the slight edge is PlayStation Now only works on PlayStation, obviously, whereas Xbox works on Xbox and PC if you get the Game Pass Ultimate. But I do believe Game Pass is a little bit more expensive. I think it's $10 a month, whereas PlayStation Now I think is $60 for the year. So you end up being about twice as expensive for Xbox Game Pass as you do PlayStation Now. Given that you can do both PC and Xbox, given that both games kind of have a similar feel of a whole shite ton of options of crap games that didn't sell very well, and then a couple of really good options. So I tend to think the streaming services kind of equal themselves out because of that as of right now. But along that line, when it comes to library, in my opinion on it, obviously, PlayStation wins in a landslide. So you don't have very many exclusives, period, on Xbox. I mean, I can think of the I keep calling out Call of Duty. The Halo games. The Halo games are exclusive to Microsoft, which is cool, but I was never really a Halo guy. I never really played Halo a whole lot. And they do have the Outer Worlds. I loved the Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds was fantastic. But I mean, on PlayStation, you've got, again, God of War, Spider-Man, you've got The Last of Us, you've got Bloodborne. As of right now, I know it's not going to be an exclusive for very long, but right now you have Final Fantasy VII Remake is only available on PlayStation 4. So the library, the game library, in my opinion, was infinitely better on PlayStation than it was on Xbox. So I don't, it's kind of weird that I'm saying all this stuff now because I had formed a very positive opinion on both consoles, and I thought I had it pretty much set on which one I had decided was the winner, and I'm still 90% on that side. But every time I do kind of try and think about which one is better and which one is not, I do kind of start questioning myself. Am I right? Is this accurate? Do I still feel this way? But the truth is I still do feel this way. I am going to go ahead, and this is not from a I'm paid by Sony or Xbox or whatever, and this is not I'm a legitimate journalist kind of aesthetic. This is from a consumer based opinion, from a guy who literally plays more games than probably a lot of the people that you know. So I spend a huge investment in it, not just in time and money, but like studying on stuff and learning and making these videos and stuff. So I would like to think that I'm kind of an intelligent consumer, and in my opinion, I think this generation has to go to PlayStation 4. I just think it's a better library, a better console. It's more dedicated to gaming. I know Xbox tried to do, and the reason they had the slightly faster processor is they wanted to be able to multi-stream all over the place, watch a movie on your Xbox, and then also bring up IMDb to find out what other movies this actor is in while you're watching the movie, so you don't have to pause the movie to then open it up another application. Stream on Twitch while you're playing, watch Twitch while you're playing Call of Duty, so you can watch Dr. Disrespect and then immediately follow up and do everything he just did in your own game. It seems like a great idea, but in my opinion, if I'm buying a video game console, I want it to be about the video games. I don't need the home entertainment system. I've got like 50 TVs in my house. The last thing I need is something that puts 2 broadcasts on one TV, because I just don't need it. I just don't need it. And so I understand what they were trying to go with, like the family console and everything. And there were a ton of, I don't know if you guys remember this. The Xbox didn't start off very well. The original Xbox idea was you were going to have to incorporate the Kinect. It was always going to be watching you. And what a lot of people thought was like spying on you. I know there was one, I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but there was one huge controversy because the Kinect was going to be able to watch and count how many people were watching whatever it was you were streaming on the Xbox, and it was going to be able to then turn it off or charge you more for more people watching it on your console than you had originally planned. So like, for instance, if 2 of you are watching Django Unchained streaming on Netflix, and 2 more people halfway through the movie ended up walking in and sitting down for the second half of the movie, the Kinect was going to be able to spot them and let Netflix know that there are now 2 more people watching this movie, so you need to charge them an additional fee for watching that video. Now, I use Netflix as an example because everybody knows what it is, but I think that was more so for their physical streaming service type of thing, Xbox's streaming service type of thing. But I mean, that's the idea. They sit there and they watch what you're doing. You're always have to be connected. You always have to somehow get your Xbox onto the internet every 24 hours or so, to keep it all updated and everything, and make sure you could access your library and all this stuff. So there was a massive backlash against it. So Xbox didn't get a really good start. On top of that, I think it came out like maybe 6 months to a year after the PlayStation 4. It was also $100 more than the Sony counterpart. So lots of issues on the get-go. But the truth is, in my opinion, in a society where you have freedom of choice like this, if you really have a better product, it's going to make its way into the marketplace. And for whatever reason, Microsoft never did. So, so there's that. Having all said this, I will wrap up with this. Even though I do prefer the PlayStation 4 to the Xbox One, and again, I'm not just saying this because anybody who's followed me before is going to say, oh, well, you were a Sony guy before Xbox anyway. You had a PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, never had an Xbox, blah, blah, blah. That is all true. And that's why I want to end with this. Even though I think the PlayStation is a better console, it is not because I'm a Sony guy. It is because I generally think that it is a better console. The truth of the matter is, I get more use out of my Xbox. The online community is much better for me on Xbox than it is on PlayStation. So even though I think, and on a grand scheme of things, maybe I should have mentioned this before, I kind of think that the online aspect of Xbox and PlayStation is roughly the same. I have literally about the same amount of issues and about the same amount of wait time to get into lobbies or to load into online games and stuff on both consoles. So generally speaking, the online community is pretty much a wash compared to the two. However, personally, I know hundreds of more people on Xbox than I do on PlayStation, which is crazy, because you would look at the sales numbers and you would think there's no possible way that I know more people on Xbox than I do on PlayStation, because the numbers are just not even close to equal. But everybody I know is on Xbox. A handful of people I know are on PlayStation. So even though I think PS4 is the better console, I am still technically in the Xbox camp because of the amount of people. Now, I will probably end up getting both consoles, both the PS5 and the Xbox One Series X. Having said that, I am actually more likely to buy the Xbox One X, Xbox Series X, whatever they want to call it, the Xbox Series X, before I buy the PS5. And that's strictly because, again, my brother, my friends, they're going to be on Xbox. They're not necessarily going to be on PS5. I will buy both, but I probably will end up buying the Xbox first. And generally speaking, most of all of the content that you see here on the channel, I would say the majority of it is going to be on Xbox One as opposed to PlayStation 4, Xbox instead of PlayStation. So it is kind of a weird dynamic. I do think the PlayStation is a better console, but I'm more likely to buy the Xbox just because of who I know that has it. I leave the rest up to you guys. So these are just my takes. The reason I wanted to do this video is because I've been asked this fairly regularly on the last few streams. Which one would I get? Which one would I prefer? And I tell people the same thing every day. And I will leave it. I will leave you this video. I will leave this video. Leave you with this final thought. If I was buying a console today, PlayStation, Nintendo, or Xbox, and I didn't play with anybody else, I think I would buy the Sony PlayStation. I love the Nintendo. The Zelda games, the Mario games are fantastic, but they're a select few games. You know, I mean, it's how often do we get a Zelda game? Once every 5-6 years. You know, so Nintendo doesn't really put out enough content for me to put them in the top echelon. It's either going to be a PlayStation or an Xbox, and in my opinion, if I'm not me, if I'm me but with no friends, I'm buying a PlayStation. However, because it's me, I'm going to buy the Xbox because I know so many more people that have it. And that's generally how I've viewed this whole console war this generation, and that's pretty much how I'm going to cement my opinion of this generation in those ways. So let me know what you think. I'm generally curious how you guys respond to this, because I know I don't really fight, but you know we bicker about this back and forth. What's better, PlayStation and Xbox on stream all the time. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I appreciate you watching the video. Either way, that's going to do it for this one. BigSweetC, that's me, wishing you a wonderful day, night, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it might be. Long as you're watching, I'm wishing you a wonderful watching time. Sweetness, signing off. Peace.